Good evening. Good evening, Western North Carolina, and welcome to the North Carolina 11th Congressional District Town Hall. I am Amanda Edwards, the chair of the Buncombe County Board of Commissioners. I'm excited to welcome you to AB Tech this evening, the largest, highest education institution west of Charlotte. I am here to kick off this evening's events and tell you a little bit about how the evening is going to work. But before we do that, would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? That may be the best Pledge of Allegiance I think I've ever heard. Way to go. Tonight's town hall will be divided into 3 sections in order to provide you with as much information as possible, answer your questions, and hear your comments. The first part will allow Congressman Edwards to give you an update on the Helene recovery process and what is happening in Washington, D.C. We will then move into a session where the Congressman answers your questions, which many of you submitted when you arrived this evening on yellow.
Colleagues and those folks that I had to bring to Western North Carolina to see it firsthand, a $110 billion disaster aid funding bill that was signed into law by President Biden on December the 21st. These billions of dollars that are now and will continue to flow into our region will do much to supercharge our recovery here, from restoring I-40 to its pre-storm condition with enhanced resiliency measures, to getting thousands of downed trees off the ground in the Pisgah Forest, Great Smoky Mountains Forest to prevent future wildfires. I see my challenge now. Me and my office have gone through different stages. When I look back, I can identify every stage or every plateau that we were in recovering from this disaster. But the stage that I see us in now is my responsibility to help get the money out of the doors in Washington, D.C., into the hands here in Western North Carolina of the people that need it. And I've discovered there's this huge bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. that gets in the way of that. Even though we've appropriated the money, there's a bureaucracy that gets in the way. One of the things that I'm particularly proud of is President Trump on his first trip out of Washington, D.C.
What'd you do last week?
The first time he left Washington, D.C. was coming right here to Western North Carolina to keep his promise that he made here in Western North Carolina to not allow us to be forgotten. I'm really pleased he invited me to fly with him on Air Force One, and on that flight, he was on that flight.
You told him to shut up when he was giving misinformation about FEMA, and you deserve a little bit of
Ladies and gentlemen,
$1 billion was cut.
and so right there on the Air Force One at that time, President Trump was asking me, how's the recovery going in Western North Carolina? And I was very honest with him. I was talking about the things that FEMA helped that were caught up in the bureaucracy. And so I put together or I bought a phone line, 223 Fix FEMA, and we publicized what?
Stop selling yourself.
We don't care about you.
Hey, that's all I'm doing.
You did
We
good.
were here for it.
Listen to us
Anybody that
now.
still needs help, encourage them to call my office at 223 Fix FEMA. We removed nearly 5 million cubic yards of debris
You did good. Listen to us now.
from public rights.
Listen to us now.
3.6 million by state contractors and 1.3 million by federal contractors.
You did good. Listen to us now.
Listen to us now. Listen to us now.
The private property debris removal mission in Buncombe County has seen 450 parcels completed and work is underway.
Oh, boy.
Hey,
You did good. Listen to us now.
157,000 families have received FEMA assistance to recover from the storm, totaling nearly $400 million, and 405 million so far has been obligated to local communities to help with the cost. 6,230 families have received $18.3 million for repair or replacement of private access roads and bridges. And as of last week, North Carolina DOT has reopened over 1,300 roads that were closed due to the storm.
You did good. Listen to us now.
Listen to us now. Listen to us now. Listen to us now. Listen to us now.
Go ahead, let him speak.
We heard it. We know what he said.
The American people sent President Trump back to the White House and Republican majority to restore America's economic dominance. And to secure
Stock market is down 10%.
In my view, our nation's debt crisis has been largely ignored far too long.
Oh, and you're gonna solve that by
And
giving a $4 billion
the
tax
time
cut?
is now
Yes.
to fix how Washington works. To that end, I was proud to vote recently for the House budget resolution, which and you wonder why
Do you support Ukraine?
Nobody tells the truth. You cut my hair. Meditate.
that framework provides for Congress to secure the border,
Are you afraid of Trump?
to promote
Yes,
American
cowards.
energy independence,
Are you
to
afraid
lower
of Trump,
taxes,
cowards?
and to make America more competitive.
Taxes are going up.
Cowards,
There's
traitors.
also much that the president can do under his Article 2 authorities provided by the Constitution.
Do whatever the hell you want to do.
Rein in
No
the
one's saying
size
nothing.
of government, the
Are
scale
you
of
afraid
government,
of Trump?
which over the decades has
afraid of
become
us.
unwieldy and largely accountable on a massive
Why is a non-elected
scale.
person running our government? Not allowed to cut our jobs, take our money.
Cowards.
That is your
Do your job.
our
Stand up to Trump.
Do
Don't take
your
my job.
that you were sent there to do. To represent us all.
Let's let him speak.
Thank you.
You have nothing to say but lie. You're lying. I'm a veteran and you don't give a fuck about me. That's right. Shut the fuck up. You don't give a fuck what you do to us. You don't get to take away our rights. You don't get to take our house and get us. You don't get to do it to us.
Come on, you guys. The veteran is like a good friend on you. you're telling the truth and you're not listening to us.
It's
Please listen.
And to their important services. For example, folks at the National Weather Service office.
Are fired.
Critical and timely warnings ahead of Helene's destruction in Western Oklahoma.
And what happens next time?
Potentially thousands of lives in the process. Unavoidable reality that all departments and agencies under the federal government need to run more efficiently. Support our efforts to identify those opportunities for making us fair dollars go where they are. I will be glad to answer your questions over the time that we have remaining. I'd just like to remind you all that the disruptions are only allowing time to ask questions. I'd rather take more. And I encourage you, if we can't get on to all of your questions tonight, to go onto my website, www.edwardsstatehouse.gov, and please and press the subscribe button. There'll be much more happening in the next few months, and that's a great way to help us stay informed. Thank you.
We are here to keep you informed and you're refusing to listen.
Thank you. Draw out a question and tell me what's first on.
Will do. Thank you, Congressman. First of all, you were all given the opportunity to fill out either an orange or a pink card. If you still have cards, raise them up so we can get them and put them in the boxes. Still have cards, someone will come by and get those. And we'll do our best to get through as many of them as we can. All right? We will start. I will do my best to read handwriting. Mary from zip code 28801. What do you plan to do to make sure North Carolina does not get taken over by dictatorship and fascism?
Sounds like there's a little bit of bias in that question. But to be quite honest with you, we have a constitution. I'm assuming that many of you might have some disagreement with what you see taking place in the White House right now. But I think we also have to realize that what we see President Trump doing is exactly what President Trump said he was going to do.
That's irrelevant.
Before President Trump was elected,
He said he could kill somebody.
Gerrymander, not real election.
so my goal is in everything I do to support the agenda that the American people sent me, President Trump.
Our next question comes from Sherry, zip code 28778. How can services of the Department of Education continue when its workforce is cut in half?
For those of you who are extremely concerned about the Constitution, let's drop back and realize that the Department of Education is not mentioned in our U.S.
We're still concerned about the Constitution. That's a red herring.
Stop, stop. It was created by Congress. Right, Congress created it.
Let's keep in mind that the general purpose of government is to make decisions closest to the people that we represent. I'm gonna take the questions that come out of the box one at a time, and I'm gonna attempt to answer those because somebody in good faith took time to write that down.
So answer the question. What about education then?
I have supported, even as a state senator, the fact that we should abolish the U.S. Department of Education. It would be.
Chuck, that's not what the people want. If you're representing us, you do not cut them education.
It would be my goal that the decisions be made on a level closer to the people they represent.
They already are.
So then they'll take the money and take it home.
And school boards than Washington's bureaucrats. It would also be my goal.
You want to keep the people stupid, don't you, Chuck? 4%. How is the education department going to help our schools?
That we would get to the point that block grants would be sent from Washington D.C. to the states to make those decisions, and that ultimately we would lower federal taxes by an amount commensurate to the same, so that folks weren't spending as much money as they are right now.
What's more important than that's the way the Constitution
Our next
is written,
question
Chuck.
is from Polly, from a 288 zip code area. What are you doing to ensure the protection of our Social Security benefits?
President Trump has made it clear.
You, Chuck Evans, you!
So now you want to hear a question about me. I'm not going to vote to dissolve your Social Security. I'm not looking to. You did already. The promise has been made to the American people. Those folks who have worked all their life and paid into that certainly deserve to reap the.
Our next question is from Aaron, 28721 zip code. How do you justify cuts to staff of the VA helping veterans, especially those?
First of all, there have been no cuts to the staff. The information that you have received.
We need proof.
There was
Don't
a
lie.
leaked memo.
You are
where
lying.
There were some folks looking at the efficiency of the VA. It is not President Trump, nor Congress, nor even Elon Musk's intent
Drinking the
We
Kool-Aid.
didn't vote for Musk.
directly provides
We didn't vote for
service
him.
to our
We voted for you.
veterans.
Don't touch our veterans.
Our next question is from Ellen, zip code 28748. Do you represent all citizens, even though they may not have voted for you, or do you work for Trump?
I represent all the citizens. Well, so let's be real. We have some differing
Prove it.
opinions here.
We have lies, we have the truth.
Every opinion that
You
I
stand with liars or truth, people?
possibly align with everyone's opinion. What my job is to,
The people are sick of Trump and Musk.
Is that why you split Asheville up?
Your job is next.
that I would use when I went to Washington DC and help make the decisions that cover the needs of more of the folks.
No one. You're covering no one's needs with what you're doing in Washington.
Y'all are taking our jobs.
Our next question is from Gene, zip code 28745. It looks like, will the foresters who were fired be rehired to clean up the storm debris?
Yes, they have. You may be aware that there was a court ruling in just the last few days.
Thank God.
That all of those probationary employees be reinstated for at least 45 days. And then there
Why
will
does
be
it take
another
why does it
process.
take a court order to get you to serve the people of this country?
Why does it take a court order? Are you good with 45 days?
45 days, does that make your heart happy?
I feel like this is not productive.
Come on, Sean.
You are a coward.
The questions are coming out of the box one at a time. I'm answering those for you. You're not gonna.
Are you gonna run away everywhere? You ran away in Canton. You're running away
And
here
you,
too?
and you certainly will have the right in the next election to cast your vote.
If there is a next election.
The next question comes from Teresa, zip code 28753. Get through this. Doge is cutting everything but Musk contracts. Are you willing to fire 25% of your staff like he's doing to others?
He's coming for your job next. He needs a bigger mic. Are you willing to cut your staff too? Just like Doge is cutting everything?
What I'd like to share with you is exactly what's taking place with Doge right now. Our government officials,
You heard the lie.
is being looked at in a way like never before.
You're firing air traffic controllers.
We simply
Tesla Chainsaw Massacre.
Where's the proof?
Y'all, I'm a registered Democrat and I lost my federal job and I got a 13-year-old girl who's got to go through the next 4 years without family planning. If I can behave, y'all can behave. We're just gonna...
So, by the
But we won't get anywhere by saying
by those performing the test that it is, we've been uncovering some things that I think.
They're not true. Please, we know this.
They took them off the website because they were false.
We found a VA contract where $56,000 was being paid to water 8 plants.
Really, absolutely, that's
Where's the found a $3 million contract for organizational culture training to instruct.
Was any of
Chuck,
the
that is not what we care about. Those are red herrings. Get down to the truth, not red herrings.
We found a $532,000 grant that was awarded by NIH to use a mouse.
I found a chicken in my backyard. Is that going to help?
To investigate the effects of cross-sex pesticides. We found a $3.5 million consulting contract for larval fish monitoring at the Bureau of Reclamation.
We don't care, Chuck.
We found a $1.7 million grant awarded by NIH for the China Health and Retirement Longitudinal
Chuck, we
Study.
don't care. We don't care. Do you understand that? We do not care about that. We're talking about Buncombe County, not China.
How much is Trump spent on golf?
We found a $10 million grant from a small country in Africa for volunteering medical male circumcision. We found a $47 million grant for
Next question, please, sir. Next question. Next question, please.
We don't need to
No, we don't want to hear this.
All of those are great things, Congressman. All of those are great things. And I'm sure they are wrong. But that doesn't mean that people should lose their jobs. Those are great things. But people shouldn't lose their jobs. All of those things are great, Chuck. Why are people losing their jobs at record numbers?
our country
With
is
no research.
now
With no research, that's right.
than we've ever been before.
We want our jobs back.
Why are we going to give tax cuts to billionaires and billionaires? $4.6 trillion in tax cuts.
I'm going to answer these questions seriously to be respectful to the folks that took time to sit down and talk. Would you
Chuck, we are respectful if you tell the truth.
if you don't like the answer, that's
If you don't like the answer, let them be king, all right?
We stood in line.
That question was, are you willing to fire 25% of your staff like he's doing to others?
Come on, you got $2 million bucks.
I'll answer that directly. I've got a staff of about 15 that are working their butts off on your behalf every single day. So-
We work our butts off also. You don't want
And without them, we would not have been able to address the recovery of hurricanes.
Exactly. Let people do their job. Let other people do their jobs too, Chuck.
Let's go to our next question from Diane, zip code 28787. Why are you supporting the destruction of all of our North Carolina agencies? NOAA, Social Security, FEMA, VA, etc.
I think we have to look for efficiency in every single government agency that's.
Louder. Use the microphone.
There are about 2 million federal employees that you are paying for every single year. Government has grown exponentially since the pandemic. I believe that we
That's the right way to do it. That's a lie.
to go and look
The right way to fix it. Do it the right way.
How about the Defense Department?
Our next question comes from Jim, zip code 28711. The large Ukrainian population in western North Carolina has been rattled by threats to end temporary protected status. Will you support extending that status until there can be an orderly return to a safe Ukraine? All right, from Loretta, zip code 288.
you afraid to talk about Ukraine because the president is a Russian asset?
They contracted folks to remove debris. I gave you some statistics to try to avoid my opening comments, but we've already removed several debris.
You can't hear you. You can't hear
Forest server worker is gonna help with that.
Switch lights, please.
How's firing my friend at the Department of Natural Resources gonna help with that?
Get behind the podium and we can hear you.
The next question, Rich 28739, do you feel secure in what you have voted for and why?
Yes. And the reason why is that I was very clear in what my views were when I was elected to go to Washington, D.C. in limited government, in lower taxes, secure America, in a secure border, in trying to provide opportunities for the younger generations.
By cutting it.
Trying to save our taxpayer dollars and trying to create communities that are
Yeah,
safe.
protect younger
and
people
trying
and
to
protect this planet.
lower regulations that are adding to the inflation that you've been experiencing and endless others.
How the tariff's gonna help with that?
Let's go right ahead.
Our next question is from Lynn 28787. Let's get down to the question. How do you intend to support our active duty military members and family who are stationed overseas? The continuing resolution that I voted on Tuesday night, for example, bolsters our military spending. It gives the largest raises to the general officers in the history of the United States. I certainly support Secretary Hegseth's efforts to reduce the workforce in the Pentagon by 8%, because we don't need butts in the seats in the Pentagon. We need missiles and planes and the equipment that's necessary to defend our military.
We need women.
Our next question is from Kathleen, zip code 28804. Why do you support a president that cares nothing about NATO, Ukraine, and democracy, that cares Actually, I believe that the president is very supportive of I believe the president recognizes that Putin is a murderous dictator. I think just yesterday, he told the world that he believes that we need to increase our sanctions against Russia and probably enforce the ones that are already in place. I know that Vice President J.D. Vance about a month ago suggested that if Putin not come to the table for a peace treaty, that he may be facing American soldiers over in I also believe that we see
You are
the
gaslighting us.
author of the
You are
Art of the Deal
gaslighting us.
working his magic to try to create a situation where folks would come to the negotiating negotiating table that might not otherwise do that.
Our next question from Jordan, zip code 28754, along the same lines. Congressman, will you stand up for Ukraine funding and protection?
I voted that way. I'll continue to vote that way. I spent 9 days in Ukraine. I had bombs falling over my head, fired on Kiev, coming back ahead in New Testament. I had an opportunity to look into the weeping eyes of widows that had lost their sons and husbands from the invasion of Ukraine. And I came back committed that we cannot stand idly by and watch the type of
Our next question is from Janet, zip code 28805. Detail 5 things you've done this week to protect
with a military outfit that is charged with creating the equivalent of an Iron Dome in a region that we are very interested in.
Free Gaza!
I have passed a continuing resolution that funded our military, gave raises to our military, kept our government running, including all the federal agencies that you're concerned with. I met with probably a dozen different media outlets and told them why I was going to be here with you here today. I am here with you today. I could go on. Coming up in Conference, not real different.
Our next question is from Claire. Zip code 28715. Our Park Service generates just over $50 billion with an operating budget of just over $3 billion. How do you defend Park Service cuts given the positive Park Service ROI?
What my job is to listen to the information that I hear coming out of the administration, and then to look at how that might be affecting our district, and then go back to that administration and make a case for why some of those changes might not be in the best interest of NC-11. And I've done that over and over and over again, and I'll continue to do that.
Our next question from Lauren, zip code 28712. If uncovering waste and fraud was the goal, why hire hackers and not auditors and forensic accountants?
I'm not sure I understand the total premise of the question, but I'm going to take a stand. I think we should have our own internal hackers involved to see where our vulnerabilities are in our system. I think that we do have forensic accountants and experts at comparing databases. You know, really, like him or not, Elon Musk has brought a lot of really smart people. And realizing where we do not cross-reference files such as death certificates and Social Security. Forensic accounting is that's exactly what you see playing out right now.
Our next question comes from Blaze, zip code 28804. Why do you support Trump's destructive and disastrous trade war?
Give me a chance to answer this question. After I answer it. Let me do that. Let me answer, and then if you don't like it, you can boo or hiss or whatever you like to do. First of all, let's be forthright. President Trump told us throughout his entire campaign that he was going to be using tariffs to negotiate.
Do you support that?
To negotiate with foreign countries, and that's exactly what he's doing. And to negotiate, you've got to have an edge. You've got to have something to negotiate with. And he's been able to bring foreign leaders to the table that would not come to the table otherwise. He's been able to get attention from Canada because they failed to secure their border, and they've answer, and then you got to yell at me. I'm not the other thing I think that we have to recognize is that an economy really consists of many multiple factors. Our competitiveness with foreign nations is one of those, and so maybe to raise prices from those folks that are sending goods into the U.S. in an effort to lower prices on those goods and services that are manufactured in the United States, to create a better tax climate for those people that work here and do business here, and to create a better environment or regulatory structure where we lower the regulation and make it easier for businesses to conduct business here in the United States. There are many different parts coming together in a strong economy, just like we saw in the first administration. So I'll stop there.
All right, we have time for one more question from this box before we go to the open mic portion. Our last question here, Amelia from zip code 28805. What are you doing for your constituents regarding Musk and his minions having writing privileges with the Treasury Department's database?
So can I answer this one also more than Elon Musk?
That is not true, Chuck.
Because the reality is, even before President Trump was elected, there were people working inside these agencies that had access, that were required access to the information. You should also know that those employees and folks that served with Doge have gone through the same exact Somebody's going to be in charge of looking at those things.
We've looked at it, Chuck, and we've seen it.
Are we through taking questions?
We're through with these questions. We're now ready for the open mic portion. So, when I call your name, please stand and someone will bring a microphone to you. I will read out the subject that you have a question or a comment on. Please take note that you have 2 minutes for your question or your comment. We have a timekeeper here who will show you the signs so you can keep up with your time, okay? Our first comment or question comes from Lauren D'Alessandro, zip code 28712. Okay. You have a question or a comment on USAID.
Okay. I'd like to know why they would possibly cancel everything for USAID when the food and the supplies were right there, and the prices, the money that they had was paying for services that had already been provided. And they left people in the countries they were with no notice and no help to get back to the United States.
That's right.
What kind of person does that?
That's right.
And so, you know, I'm the vice chair of the National Security State Department related agencies appropriations committee. Serving on that committee for the last year or so, I and my colleagues have had a very difficult time getting straight answers out of the State Department.
I know the feeling.
I'm trying to answer your question. These folks are making it difficult. We've had a real difficult time getting the answers that we need to make informed decisions. President Trump recognized that there was a lot of money being spent out there that the American people and certainly Congress would not agree with.
Less than 1% of the budget.
He took the what I think was the appropriate action, saying let's pause for right now.
Yeah, renege on his contract just like he did as a businessman.
Let's look at these programs, and then let's decide what is relevant, what really is in the national security
Y'all cut
interest
all the
of America.
programs.
And then go back and evaluate those.
It's called being
Just like, as an example, yesterday, in a hearing that I was involved in as the vice chair of this committee, I listened to the folks that is at the head of the State Department that deals with the foreign aid. I couldn't necessarily agree with the total tactic, but I agree that we need to take a lot closer look at the way that money is being spent. I was able to share with him a couple of personal experiences that I was involved in overseas. I told you I went to Ukraine. I had the opportunity to visit not only Ukraine, but Moldova and some of the Balkans to see how USAID money was being spent. There's a lot of good being done over there. To look at the widows of those that have fled from Ukraine and children that have been traumatized. And so I was able to make a good, strong case in that meeting that was one of the first programs that needed to be looked at to be turned back on. Just 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I came back from a trip. With from the Middle East. I met with the leadership of Jordan and realized here's a very, very small country in the middle of the desert that had about 20,000 people in it in 1926. Now it's got about 20 million people, and they are desperate for water. And yeah, I'm trying to answer. Yeah, I'm trying to answer your question and how I think I answered that question. There's a lot of things going on that taxpayers would not agree with, and now it's partly my job and my colleagues' job on appropriations to go back and recognize where the money was being spent that our taxpayers would agree with and turn back on.
All right, our next comment or question comes from, I believe this is Mirva Price. Mira Price from zip code 28800 regarding budget cuts.
Why did you vote for the continuing resolution budget bill that will cut Medicaid, SNAP, food stamps, public housing, hundreds of thousands in this district that are depending on them?
With all due respect, I don't think you've read that bill because that bill didn't cut any of the things that you just suggested. A continuing resolution, I see some talking points back there, probably some political talking points that have been passed. A continuing resolution continues to spend the taxpayers' money at the same rate that it did in the previous. This continuing resolution did nothing to cut those things that you're suggesting.
Our next question comes from Ed Zaron, Z-A-R-O-N, Z-A-S-O-N. Ed over here. And this is regarding the annexation of Canada and Greenland.
Do you support the annexation of Canada and/or Greenland? And this is a yes or no question. I don't want you to wander off into the woods. I don't want you to hear about the latest week in your office. I don't want to know about Okay, so I'm trying to get your opinion on this as a yes or no. Do you support Trump on annexing Canada or Greenland? And do you like the way he treats the Premier or the President of Canada, calling him governor? Is that the way you do as a diplomat? Is that the way the United States should act to our closest neighbors? And I've still got a little more time. Do you enjoy the way he's tried to extort minerals from the Ukraine? Do you like bullying people that need your help? Do you go for kicking the guy when he's down? Do you support Trump in these things? This is a yes or no.
There's like 12 yeses and no's in there. Let me answer the first one. Then there was one that really stuck out that I'd like to also answer. I believe your first question that you wanted yes or no is, do I support annexing Greenland and Canada? The short answer to that is no. There was another question in there. I think it was, do I support a deal, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, a deal with Ukraine in obtaining minerals and helping the United States taxpayer recoup the $140 billion or so that you said. The answer is yes. I do support. We'll go to our next. This is Chris B. Zip code 28704. Chris, regarding speaking out in support of vets. Chris? Oh, that's right. So his question was,
Yeah, do you support privatization?
Okay. This week's scheduled meeting at the FDA that was to determine the composition of this year's flu vaccine was abruptly canceled. No rescheduling was talked about. In addition to that, the CDC also postponed its advisory committee on immunization practices meeting in February. That was to review the safety and efficacy of vaccines. At the same time, HHS Secretary RFK Jr. is still out there spreading doubt about the usefulness of vaccines in disease prevention. Does any of this concern you? And what do you plan to do about it?
What was your name again? Barry. Barry, with all due respect, I'm not aware of any meetings that were canceled.
That's your job.
I do think that there is a place for vaccines. I saw an article written on Secretary Kennedy probably just this morning where he was encouraging folks to make their decision about the measles vaccines. I think it's up to all of us. And yeah, I've had my measles vaccine and many others. So I think we should be able to make our own mind. I'm going to support your decisions to make up your own mind. That's what I'm going to do.
Your next comment comes from Leanne, L-I-A-N-E. Leanne, zip code 28804. regarding the Department of Education and Medicaid cuts.
Good evening. This is a piggyback with what was mentioned earlier about Medicaid. It's a little different. Medicaid, as we all know, is jointly funded by the state and federal. And it appears that President Trump has mentioned that Medicaid funding should go back to the state, some parts of it. Many folks that are on Medicaid are those that have disabilities, children with disabilities, nursing care, and especially kids that are under Title I and speech services. These people cannot afford it out of their pocket. The Department of Education has mentioned that there's going to be cuts. This will affect those with disabilities and those with under Title I funding that had been protected under IDA, which is the Individual Disabilities of Education Act. How will you, Congressman Edwards, deal with this for the folks that are our neighbors, our families, and our friends?
And I appreciate that question. I think that I've been very clear. I do support the abolishment of the Department of Education. Now, I also agree that there is a vulnerable population out there that needs to continue to be protected, such as the disabled. And I believe that there is a way to do that and adjust federal law of what the expectation of Congress is, not that of a bunch of bureaucrats in another administration building, but what the wishes of Congress would be, such as states would be given a block grant to do the things that the federal government's doing now.
Then why do we need Congress
And expected to follow the laws that Congress passes. So that's on the education.
We expect you to follow the
law.
law.
On the Medicaid piece, President Trump has made it very clear to me and to other members of Congress that it is not his intent, and I believe it is not Congress's intent, to disrupt the benefits of the most vulnerable amongst us, such as the disabled.
So then why does your budget bill instruct them to cut?
And you've seen no action so far. To make those disruptions.
Our next question or comment comes from, it's either SB or JB, zip code 28804, regarding the future of American democracy. SB or a here. Why are you doing nothing while Trump destroys the U.S. Constitution?
I sense maybe a faction in this room of folks that might not have voted for President Trump. And I'll say that I happen to believe very much that President Trump supports our Constitution. And I sleep good at night knowing that every vote that I cast is in support of our Constitution, your freedoms, and
Our next question comes from Pam, zip code 28739. Pam, regarding the role of Congress.
ignoring laws passed by Congress? What are you doing to take back your power as our congressman?
Pam, I'm not sure that I agree with your whole premise of your question. But what I hear a lot is, what I hear from a lot of folks is they disagree with some of the cost savings that are being put in. So let me say this to you.
How about selling cars on the White House lawn?
Is that allowed? Okay, I'll give you a few seconds to make a clarification. If you'll allow me to
Reclaim your time,
answer
Pam.
the premise of the question as I understand it. Because I do get a lot of feedback from folks saying, the president's not spending the money that they were given by Congress. There is nothing in the Constitution that says every dollar that Congress sends the administration has to be spent. There is...
Well, we can't spend it on other things.
It is very clear that those funds, in order to be respent in any other way, have to be rescinded by Congress. And so we're allowing the administration that we have right now to conduct its work. And then Congress will go back and look at those various cost-saving ideas and decide what, if anything, and I feel pretty sure we'll find some costs, some money out there that we want to rescind.
To fund billionaire
That's my
tax
interpretation
cuts?
of the question, because I hear so many people ask it. But if you want to clarify, I'll give you a few seconds to do that.
Congress approved the IG Act in the 80s, and the IG has, as a former federal employee of an IG, those group, they already have investigators and auditors to investigate. Those people that are in charge of those agencies were fired without their 30-day notice, as Congress mandated. Agencies created by Congress and mandated by Congress are having employees fired and shuttered without Congress saying anything or doing anything. Money that has been approved by Congress to pay for grain from Iowa and Kansas was approved and paid for, shipped, sitting there, waiting to be delivered, and it was pulled back by the administration. These are things that Congress has approved. Congress controls the purse. You hold the pocketbook. You create the agencies. You make the laws.
I've got a question, to half of your question, I would have to go back and say that the premise in which I interpreted it was correct. That Congress appropriates money, we do have the power of the purse. There's nothing in the Constitution that says the president has to spend every single dollar of it. It was approved to be sent to the administration, to be dispersed under the control of the president. The second premise of your question was that there were agencies created by Congress, and those are still in place. No agency has been dissolved as of yet. That is unconstitutional.
Our next question is from Keith, zip code 28712. Keith, regarding Ukrainian parolees.
So, in 2022, I sponsored a family of 3, and when they arrived, Mom was pregnant, so she had a baby at Mission Hospital. She's 3 now, and like some of the others have said, there's humanitarian parolee status, and also the temporary protected status, which my family has. They have the humanitarian parolee status and the temporary protected status. And there's talk about revoking them. Yes. So it makes me very nervous that my family could be deported. So I'm asking for your help to make sure those statuses are not.
Thank you. I very much appreciate the detailed question presented in such a civil manner. What I can promise you is that Madeline here has got your concern, and we'll be back in touch with you. There's probably more you know that I can learn from you. So, thank you.
Next comment comes from Michael, zip code 28806. Michael?
That's me.
Over here. And this is a comment or question regarding Medicaid and Medicare.
He's got the microphone.
Do you have it pulled up?
Michael, you gotta come over here.
I can give it. Here.
Many of us in Western North Carolina rely on Medicaid, Medicare, and or Social Security to get health care and pay our bills. Mathematically, it is impossible to enact your proposed budget, the Republican proposed budget, without making deep cuts to these programs. What is your message to constituents who depend on these programs here?
I would say that I think that you might be referring to the budget resolution that was passed out of the budget committee that I sit on about 3 weeks ago. It did make it across the House floor. It did have quite a bit of political adversity without any fact. There's nothing in that resolution that mentions the word Medicare, Medicaid, or Social Security. There's no intent from President Trump nor from the current Congress to do anything to disrupt payments for Medicare or Social Security. I have had a lot of folks rely on a statement that they feel that they heard from CBO that we don't have enough, or they may have said we don't have enough confidence in Congress.
How about the Horton School?
To be able to achieve, I'm trying to answer the gentleman's question. I'm sorry. CBO had made some statements that they didn't have enough confidence in Congress to be able to achieve what was in the budget resolution without touching Medicaid. I would just say to you, first of all, is there anything that comes out of CBO that we can believe? Because they're missing their projections by trillions of dollars. And I would also say that my good friend Brett Guthrie, the chairman of the Energy and Commerce Committee, who deals with appropriation for Medicaid, believes that he can achieve the $880 billion over 10 years without disrupting payments to the most vulnerable amongst us.
We don't believe
there's,
we don't
for example,
There's
have been on
unemployment because of Hurricane Helene.
That's right.
And now you're laying off thousands of federal workers.
That's right.
Which
Yes,
they're then
that's
having to
right.
compete with to get jobs.
No, I lost mine.
And so now I want to go back to the Medicaid question. There have been $2.6 trillion in improper payments over the last 10 years.
That is a small percentage.
Would give us the cost savings that the budget committee intended to find in that budget resolution. Thank you for the question.
All right, folks, we have time for one final comment or question. One final comment or question, and it is from Elizabeth, zip code 28752. Elizabeth, right there, regarding Social Security income.
There have been discussions on the Hill concerning changes to Social Security and future payments to retirees in order to keep the Social Security solved. These include raising the eligibility age for retirees from 62 to 70, or
increasing the Social Security tax from 6.2% to 7%, or making sweeping cuts to recipients' benefits of up to 25%. I have a question for you, but I want to make a little more clarification before you answer, please. Would you support the raising or the elimination of the Social Security income cap of the $176,000? This change would fairly require everyone to pay their fair share of the tax.
Yes.
It would keep the Social Security solvent and not adversely impact recipients' benefits. As it is, millionaires and billionaires like Mr. Musk pay the same amount as someone making $176,100 per year. So would you support the raising or the elimination of the Social Security cap income?
I've not seen any bill like that before me yet. What I can tell you with all sincerity is the issue of Social Security solvency is one of extreme importance to myself and all of my other colleagues in Congress, and we're committed to not touching the benefits of anyone that is already in the program and reaping the promises that they have been the reality is we have to look at every possibility so that we can, continue to keep those promises. And I believe that the people that sent me to Washington, D.C. want me to make the most informed decision possible. And that I can commit to you.
You suck, Chuck!
Yes or no?
You know, I'm going to promise you, I'm going to look at the options that we have to keep
Free Palestine!
Hey, this has been fun. I appreciate the opportunity to spend the last 89 minutes with you. I really appreciate the energy that you brought, the contradiction of opinions from time to time, the passion that I hear, the patriotism that I sense in this room, and I hope that you will certainly stay engaged with my office and all of those folks that are elected. God bless you all.